Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, and welcome to episode 61 of Inside the Video Store. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for attending. Greatly appreciated. What have we got today? Loads, a stacked show coming up today. We're going to have a wonder. We've got some catch-ups. We've got a lot of films coming in. New releases, there's a box missing. There's a box missing, which is slightly anxiety-inducing. But I think that'll be here either tomorrow or Friday. So I thought, shall I miss that section out? And I thought, no, I'll tape it. It's about half a dozen titles are missing. So I thought, well, we'll do them anyway. And then I can just fill you in next week with what's arrived late. Barking dog on cue, like Groundhog Day. So what do we got first of all? Well, I must admit, I'm going to take 5 minutes out just to share this amazing story, because I was at the Sandbox showcase last night. The Sandbox showcase, and I know I've droned on about this in the past, but this is a event set up by LMF. Let's Make Films. Check out their website. They're a Merseyside-based initiative who want to bring a sense of community to the filmmaking community of Liverpool. It's a really ambitious thing set up by Ryan and Joe. And every 3 months, they have a showcase of a dozen short films made by some of the participants of their foundation. And I went to my first one last night. They wrote to me a few months back and asked me to sponsor it. And I thought, well, yeah, absolutely, because it sounds like we're singing from the same hymn sheet. You know, their first line in their manifesto is film should be accessible to everyone. And to me, that means either making it or watching it. And you know how I feel about this. Too often, films are hidden behind multiple paywalls. And it's so prohibitive to devour a broad palette of films. So I can only imagine how difficult it is to make films in this current climate. So credit to them. So I went over to Liverpool last night to the Picture House Cinema, treated to 12 absolutely magnificent films. It's one of those events where there's a nagging thought at the back of your brain where you might think, well, you know, there'll probably be a handful of good ones and the rest will be filler. But there was no filler here. It was perfectly curated by Ryan and Joe. Just unbelievable films, unbelievable. I was lucky enough to see some of my customers' films as well, because they had their films showed. Tom Shannon, for example, had Walnut Man, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. And Nathan Smith had his short film Pond, which was breathtaking, an absolutely breathtaking piece of work. And I felt so humbled to be there and witness that, and witness his reaction, and see his speech at the start of when he presented his film. And it was just absolutely wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that. Hopefully some of these short films will appear across the internet as months and years go by. And if they do, I'll certainly add them onto the extensive set of links that lie below this video. But it was a wonderful, wonderful evening. And I'm definitely up for the next one, because so many great people were there as well. So many people I recognize, so many familiar faces. And you go to an event like this and you look around and you see so many people you know, so many customers, and you think, oh, there's something about here. There's something about Liverpool, something about Merseyside, that, you know, that sense of a community of people who are diehard film fanatics. That there's something there, and with a bit of nurturing, and with people like LMF, then you know, in a few years' time, it could be unstoppable. It could be unstoppable. But yeah, lovely brochure. Also wanted to highlight that they did a brilliant thing, because they asked me, they said, well, you sponsored, what can we do for you? Which was very generous. I mean, I didn't expect a great deal back in return, other than you know, the logo on on the paperwork. But they said, well, hang on, we're going to put random VHS cassettes on 5 seats or 10 seats, and in 5 of those VHS cassettes, well, should we put a voucher? Should we put a voucher for the store? So I said, yes, that's a brilliant idea. So 5 people, 5 lucky random people of the 260 that attended the event, will get 3 films for a week for free. So 3 free rentals, which is fantastic. So hopefully I look forward to meeting some of those people over the coming weeks who some of them might never have been in before. So that'd be fantastic to meet some of them. And also they allowed me to play a commercial for Snips in between the films, which was fantastic. Jake, our cameraman from the early days, he filmed the episode and put it together, and he did a great job, to be honest, a really, really great job. And Jake was there to witness it as well, so I hope he's very proud, because it is an achievement on his behalf. But it was great. So we shall see. We shall see if any new faces venture under or over the Mersey in the next few weeks. But such an exciting event, and such lovely, lovely people, genuinely lovely people, because you do tend to hear horror stories from courses like JMU and places like that, where film obsessives are on courses alongside people who aren't really passionate about films. But that's the difference with LMF. Everyone there could run rings around someone like me with their knowledge of films. It was just remarkable, absolutely remarkable. So many influences you could see on the screen. It was brilliant to see, absolutely brilliant. So yeah, that is my report from last night, and just a triumphant evening that I thoroughly enjoyed. Okie dokie. On the Snips front, I've had an idea. This is one of my crazy ideas that I normally start to do, and then halfway through I think, why am I doing this? Well, let me tell you a story. Here I am with my back to the World Cinema section, and my left-hand side is in the horror section, yeah? Now, this is a fairly tricky space, isn't it? It's a tricky space for a number of reasons. If you come in and you want to browse the horror section, the generic horror section, not Arrow or 88, the generic horror section here, it's fine, it's accessible, but it's a bit awkward, yeah? Those people who come here will know. It's awkward for a number of reasons. A lot of my customers are ND, and so for them, having someone like me, an idiot like me, stood here messing about on my laptop and swapping CDs while they're 4 feet away browsing the horror section might feel a little bit uncomfortable and intimidating. So I thought, well, how can I solve that? Because the horror section is the most popular section in the store, aside from maybe Criterion. So it seems it's been nagging me for a number of years, to be honest. I thought, well, how can I change that? How can I change that? And I think I've come up with an idea, but it's a crazy idea. But let me walk you through it, okay? I'm going to walk you through it. So we're going on a trip with no hallucinogenics involved. Okie dokie. So I have to apologize for the camera. So you walk down the store, yeah? You walk down the store, and here we go, in the corner, horror section. Up behind Jason Mask is the A's and the B's. Straight down to the P's and the Q's, and up above to the R's, and then back over there to the T's. And it's just really, really awkward. So imagine this, if you will. Imagine that horror section right there didn't exist. And imagine there was a corridor that takes you through to a horror section, a separate room that's a horror section. What do you reckon? Am I crazy? Let me explain. I have 3 stock rooms. I do not need 3 stock rooms. So it just seems crazy to have all this room in the back of the store. The store extends right back and equates to the same length that's the shop floor. It doesn't make any sense. So what I'm going to do, if you come around here with me, I'm going to remove this door here. So this door would be removed. This section on the left here, which is just a horror overflow, that will be removed. Behind there is a stud wall. That will be removed as well. So I'm going to completely seal off here. So this is my access point. I'm going to completely seal this off. Open up here on the left. So you'll be able to walk through the store, through here, no door here, through the doorway, into the horror section. Does this make any sense at all? So this room will be the horror section. So this traditionally has been my storeroom of old. This is the most immediate storeroom for all the stuff you need, kind of easy access to. But it's crazy. I don't need this storeroom. I've gradually begun to empty it, as you can see. I tend to store stuff here that, all my videotapes and things like that. So I'm going to gut this room completely. It measures round about 6 foot by 7 foot. So all the shelves will be removed. Everything completely will be gone. And then I'm going to paint it black. I've got a new light fitting going in, which is a bit more, conducive to browsing. And then I'm going to hand make 9 custom units to go completely around the circumference of the room. So this door over here will be sealed, well, not sealed, but shut completely. So you can wander in. There'll be a couple of seats down here, so you can chill. There'll be a nice 9-foot wall of horror films that should contain about 2,000 horror films, A to Z. So it'll combine all my horror sections, generic horror, British horror, etc., etc., etc. And so you can just walk past me, enter this private room, and you can browse horror to your heart's content. You can sit down. Behind you will be a wall of VHS, 400 to 500 carefully curated VHS tapes of films that are no longer accessible on any format other than VHS, some no mainstream stuff. And that will be it. So that's my project. I think it will take a fair few months to complete, but I'm in the stages. So this second stock room through here, this will become my regular stock room. So all the stuff from behind me will be transferred into here. All the TV shows that I have on the left-hand side are going to live right down the bottom there. So this will be my new stock room, which I think is plenty, because if you walk even further, I even have this stock room down here. So all the TV series are going to go just on this wall here. And there's plenty of room there for them. So they'll go there. And I still have plenty of room here. Obviously, I've got all my spare cases here. I've got about 1,500 spare cases now. What do we got? About 600 black cases. Got about 400 clear cases. 200 white cases, and the rest in colors. Don't you just love the color coordination? It's so important. It enables me to sleep at night. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I'll have a stock room here, which is fine. This is my TV section I'm going to build a little bit later and stick it over here. And this will be my generic day-to-day operation center. It just needs gutting, cleaning, painting, reshelving, and then that will be that. And then here, of course, will be the horror section. And then so from this vantage point here, you will be able to see the street. You'll be able to see the street, people walking past, because it will be a direct line straight up to the shop doorway. So we'll do the whole shebang. We'll put nice neon signs saying horror section this way and what have you. But I think it makes sense. I think it will make people a lot more comfortable. It will grow my capacity by 5,000 films, which will then nudge me on to 24,000, which automatically means I'll be the most well-stocked film archive in the UK, which isn't really important. The important thing is people can come here and they can relax. They can browse, they can chill, and they can have a good time checking out what films they want to take home. So yeah, see what you think. Give me some feedback. Would that make life easier for you? Does it make sense? Is it too off the beaten track in the back of the store there? Is it a bit weird? Does it seem seedy being all the way back, or does it seem kind of cool and like a good place to hang out and browse some horror movies? Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. And but yeah. So I've been mulling it over for quite some time. I think it's a sensible thing to do. But as always, you have the final vote, the casting ballot, and I look forward to your feedback on this. So let me have your feedback on that. Let me have your feedback on that, if you will. I'd be interested to hear it. I hope that wasn't boring, because I played it back before I started filming this segment, and it sounds really, really boring. But to me, I just wanted to do it as a personal thing, because I wanted to have documentation of the evolution of that section. You know, I wanted a memory of it as it is, and so I can fast forward and look at Inside the Video Store episode 92, and I can see it, you know, what it becomes, because I think that would be quite an interesting comparison, and it will see if it worked out. See if it worked out, because I haven't, you know, this horror section has been here for a number of years. But we've always adapted the store, to be honest. We've always adapted and evolved it over the last 50 years. You know, for example, the bottom storeroom, we only built that 20 years ago. You know, the store ended just past where the new horror section will be. That was the back wall of the store. So it was only 20 years ago that we extended beyond that, because we thought, hey, let's build a new storeroom. But you can see the nonsensical aspect to it, can't you? It just doesn't make sense to have a storeroom that big for a shop that has everything, or should have everything, on the shop floor. So, but yeah, we've always adapted stuff. You know, I remember as a kid, when I was about 7 or 8 and I was off school, I remember that the counter used to be slightly further forward, and here was the back room of the shop. It was here. You know, there was an old that desk that's in there now used to be here. I used to come in age 7 or 8 with my mum, because my mum worked here, and I would draw. You know, sat here with the back of the store being right about here, just out of camera shot, to be honest. You know, where third window section is now. And so this was all shielded off. This was all, you know, there was a fake wall just here. And this was where I used to sit and draw for about 8 hours while my mum was at work. You know, if I was off school, summer holidays, or sick, or anything like that. So we've always adapted it. We've always evolved, and that's what I think we're good at, really. I say weird, it's just me now. But I think we're good at recognizing a problem or a bottleneck, and then you know, finding out the solution to it. And I think this is a solution. I think this is a solution. Anyway, let's crack on, because Jesus, we're going on today, aren't we? 20 minutes, for God's sake, and nothing has been accomplished. Well, everything has been accomplished, but hey. Okay, so this is the stack of new releases. Like I said to you, missing a few things, missing Lady of the Law, Zembraman 1 and 2, a few other bits, but they'll be in next week, and we'll catch up next week. I just wanted to get all this boxed off today, because I've got quite a bit on in the next few days. So the lead title, only on DVD at the moment, Blu-ray due in, is Captain America: Brave New World. Finally, we found something that will shut me up, because I don't know what to say about that. But it is clearly popular, because I had someone waiting for it yesterday when it came in, anxiously anticipating me taking the shrink wrap off it. But yeah, that is the lead title of the week, in unison with this, which looks really interesting. I must admit, I'm not familiar with it. This is Heart Eyes. Paramount Scares is branded on the cover. It's got really good reviews, to be honest. It sounds a little bit like My Bloody Valentine to some degree. I don't know if it is, but I'm sure some of you have seen it. So if you have seen it, then let me know. Typically, there's an asylum film in, which is Heretics, with Eric Roberts. Eric Roberts should do more films. Don't see him very often in films. Then another week, another Megan Fox film. This isn't about AI, which was last week's film. Has last week's film been out? I don't think it has. So maybe you can be the first person to take this Megan Fox double bill. That is Till Death. And they're the four. They're the four contemporary new releases this week. Moving on to the boutiques. Like I say, this is just what we've got in at the moment. Ugetsu. Ugetsu is out. The Kenji Mitsuguchi film. Had this for many... Oh, sorry, something in my eye. Had this in for many, many years on the Masters of Cinema collection on DVD. So it's great to upgrade it to this gorgeous 4K UHD and Blu-ray combi. Gorgeous box, isn't it? I think this is the first Criterion release in the UK to come out in this design. It's very nice indeed. Lavish booklet. I mean, that's a booklet. That's a booklet. Remember in the old days with 88? They get someone putting in a 1,500-word essay for the booklet, and all you'd get is the typeface just increased to when you used to go to the library and used to have that section for people with people who couldn't whose vision wasn't great, and had large print section. They used to be like the large print section, be like 4 pages of just 5 lines to a page. But this is a quality booklet. This is a quality booklet. Wow, impressive. So that is Ugetsu. I think that will do well. Another addition to our growing 4K section. Radiance have 3 films out this week, and they all look quite remarkable. Themrock. Themrock is a French film from 1973, a satire, no less, about Themrock, the titular character, who leads a dull life. And one day, after running with his boss, the once docile Themrock rebels and dismantles his myopic world. Sounds fascinating. Next up is The Rapacious Jailbreaker, 1974, from Sereo Nakajima, a master of the genre and based on the real exploits of a 7-times prison escapee. That is The Rapacious Jailbreaker from Japan, 1974. And from Italy, Pietro Germi, we have The Railroad Man. The Railroad Man. Comparing it to the likes of the bicycle thieves, says it justifies sitting alongside the bicycle thieves. So you can't get hotter than that, really, can you? Remarkable. Now, The Bells of Death. The Bells of Death is the latest Eureka release, the latest acquisition from Celestial and Shaw Brothers. This one comes from 1968, and it's influenced remarkably by the spaghetti westerns. That's a really interesting fusion of East meets West meets Spain-ish. Yeah, there we go. We have another Fernando de Leo film, which can only be a good thing. This is Shoot First, Die Later, another cool Poliziotteschi from the master of the genre. Can't wait to see that. I think that's one of his I haven't seen. Then we have Shatter. Shatter. We have, this is a real oddity in terms of Hammer, isn't it? It's another fusion of Hammer meets Shaw Brothers, like the one they did that I can't remember. What was it called? It's down there. I could look, but you know what it is. And this one stars Stuart Whitman, Peter Cushing, and mixes martial arts and mob violence. It's a lavish release from Hammer. They do charge for these films, I must admit, but they're worth it. You get a lovely booklet in there. You get 4K UHD. You get Blu-ray ×2 as well. I think each Blu-ray is devoted to 2 separate aspect ratios. So it's an immense release, isn't it? An immense release. That is Shatter from Hammer, out this week. Moving to Arrow Video, they've put both of these out on 4K UHD. I was a little bit annoyed because I don't like. I think I mentioned it last week. I don't like to make the leap from DVD to 4K Blu-ray, 4K UHD. But apparently, because someone owns the rights to a Blu-ray release, the Arrow had to release it solely on UHD, allegedly. But they're great. I love these sequels. Number 9, Jason Goes to Hell. Number 10, Jason X. Great stuff. And I watched them both of the weekend, to be honest, and they both look staggeringly wonderful. Jason Goes to Hell, I still have a strange relationship with. It's a lot of fun, but it's an odd movie that kind of shows the inexperience maybe of Adam Marcus, who I love as a filmmaker. But yeah, interesting piece of work. And finally, in the boutiques, we have the Masters of Cinema release of Strange New Worlds. Science fiction at DEFA. DEFA, of course, was the state-owned film studio of East Germany. Active from 1946 until 1992, they made hundreds of feature films in a diverse range of genres. Hard-hitting dramas to crime thrillers, fairy tale adaptations, and westerns. And during the 1960s, 1970s, it also produced a series of colourful and wildly imaginative sci-fi films, of which there are 4 here. 4 films. Amazing. They look remarkable. They do look remarkable. Masters of Cinema have really got their act together in terms of box sets of late. They had the Thingy one out. God, random. The Thingy one out, a few weeks back. What was it? It's around the corner. I'm going to have to look. Sorry. Going to keep me awake at night. You're shouting at the TV, aren't you? You're shouting at the TV. I can't remember what it is. Oh, of course. Mabuse. The Mabuse box set. This is out now. And then next week, we get the Edgar Wallace Creamy box set in, which is just mega. So, great work by Masters of Cinema and Eureka. Brilliant release for films. What a week. What a week. The hits just keep on coming. Let's move now and see what's been rented out. Let's grab that pile. Yeah. Good week. Good week of random stuff being taken. I had a great text last Friday. David North, who's one of the presenters over at the BBC Merseyside, texted and said, "Can I come over and do your 5 films?" I'm like, yeah. So he rocked up the next morning, which is fantastic. And we did it. And we put it out on Sunday, a day later. Wonderful. He picked some good stuff, to be honest. I hope you liked the episode. I think that's the penultimate episode of the series. I think it will be. And I think I'll just stop for a couple of months and build up some more episodes so we can have the consistency of having one a week. I don't really want to switch now there's been one a week every Sunday. I don't really want to switch to doing it once every so often. I'd rather build another dozen episodes back up, and then we can have another run, over, the summer or the end of the summer. So yeah, I think the last in this series will be this coming Sunday, which is Matt. Matt is a new customer, great guy, ambitious filmmaker. He's just made a lovely short documentary called Digital versus Analog. I think it'll be on YouTube soon. When it goes on YouTube, I'll link it below these videos. It's great. It's great despite it featuring me. I thought it was really well shot. Nathan, whose short film I saw last night, Pond. Nathan did set up the camera on it, and I think it looks like it's a really good documentary. It has some really pertinent questions, really probing questions, and I think you'll like it. So yeah, his will be the last 5 films. 12 films. And that will be episode 12, and that will be Sunday, and that will be season 1. I'm out of a break. But yeah, this weekend, just gone, David North mentioned King of Kong, which is a great documentary. It's one of the best documentaries ever. But yeah, because we were so passionate about it, needless to say, someone came in yesterday, Ed came in yesterday, and I said, please give me King of Kong. There we go. My new Region A Blu-ray section is off to a bang, off with a bang, and some psychopath has rented the Munchie and Munchie's double bill. What's wrong with you people? No, it's great. I mean, I do like these movies a great deal, but they can be a painful watch at times. But they're good fun. They're good fun. Creepy character for kids. Ed Wood rented out, which reminds me I need to upgrade so many of my Tim Burton films to Blu-ray, starting with this, because this is just my favorite Tim Burton film by far. I love this film, but then I love Ed Wood quite passionately, to be honest. Someone rented Sleepaway Camp this week, which is cool. It's their first rental. Of course, when anyone rents Sleepaway Camp, I have to bite my tongue regarding anything that is contained within the film. So yeah, they're going to have to... I can't wait to see what they think about that. Whether or not they see the other two, I don't know, but they rented the first one. I was wearing my Curtis Harrington t-shirt the other day, and young James, who's rabidly into all kinds of movies, said, who is Curtis Harrington? And I said, James, I'm going to give you The Killing Kind for free, just so you can sample the genius of Curtis Harrington. He knew who Curtis Harrington was in the end because he'd seen the great Dennis Hopper film Night Tide. But The Killing Kind, I think, is my favorite Curtis Harrington film. So I was desperate for him to take that home and give it a look. Similarly, I had Rob in, and Rob was asking me about John Hayes. And I said, Rob, I'm going to give you Dream No Evil this week. I should restart taking money for films, because I loved it. One of my favorite John Hayes films. John Hayes is an absolute icon. Moved from drama to exploitation to pornography. Just ran the whole gamut of genres. But it made wonderful, wonderful, eerie, atmospheric horror films like Dream No Evil, which, just fantastic. Good to see Horizon going out on loan. The first of Kevin Costner's sprawling Western saga. Doesn't seem to have got any kind of UK release over here other than streaming, so I had to import it from Germany. Maddening, but still, there we go. But hey, it's here now. It's here now. I'm not going anywhere. And finally, Jake rented Sharkula, the Crazy Animal, the Mark Polonia film, which is crazy, absolutely crazy. But look, in renting it, he solved the most nagging query in the store. I don't know if any of you have been browsing the Warner Archives section lately, but One Crazy Summer, the brilliant John Cusack in that? The brilliant film, 80s comedy, has been out on loan for 2 years. It's been out on loan for 2 years for one good reason, and it comes down to me. I rented One Crazy Summer when it came in 2 years ago. Took it home, watched it, brought the box back in the next day without the disc. So I kept the box on loan. The next day, I opened my DVD player, Blu-ray player. There was the disc for One Crazy Summer. So I thought, well, gosh, I've taken the box back into work. I'll have to put it in a random case. So when I get into work, I'll take it out and put it back in the box. So I brought back Sharkula with One Crazy Summer in this box. Completely forgot that 24 hours before, I hadn't returned the disc of One Crazy Summer. So for the past 2 years, One Crazy Summer has been living in the Sharkula box while I've been desperately trying to find it. I knew it was in a box somewhere, but for the life of me, I couldn't retrace my steps to find out what box I put it in. Thankfully, of the 18,000 cases on display in the store, Jake opened the right one. He should win a prize, and out popped One Crazy Summer. There we go. What a story. Right. Now, we best tackle this What's in the Box, which is nutty this week. I do apologize. I hope you're sitting comfortably. because it's a crazy stack. There we go. What is in the box? It's a big box. Okay, let's have a look. Some of these I just had to get in, and some of these a few of you have helped me with, so I appreciate that. First things first, Chantal Akerman. I've had so many customers tell me about the wonder of Chantal Akerman. I mean, as you know, her film Jean Diamant from 1975 was voted the Sight and Sound greatest film of all time. And this is in this box. This is volume 1 of Chantal Akerman's films. It contains 14 movies, all on Blu-ray. It's released from the BFI. Volume 2 is out next month, and I'll certainly pick that up as well. But yeah, what a set from the BFI. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Tremendous. I couldn't resist this. I didn't pick it up the day it came out, but it was slightly discounted this week. So I thought, yeah, a bit of Buñuel. And also, it was my first opportunity to have a copy of Simon of the Desert on physical media here. So that was a no-brainer. So here it is. Nothing is Sacred. 3 Heresies by Louis Buñuel. So cool. So pleased to have this. What a box set by Radiance. They really are putting out some amazing pieces of work. Superb. As you know, the best thing about the store is that I try to run it as a collaborative effort. I'm so lucky in that so many of my customers are so passionate about films, and they give me such great advice on what to get, like Chantal Akerman. So it was with huge, immense delight that I got a tip-off by the guys at Movie Artopia. Check out their Insta page, Movie Artopia, Paddy and Roxy. They said, you need to see Pater Noster. What's that? I've never heard of it in my life. Pater Noster. So I thought, well, if these guys got their finger on the pulse, they know what's going on. So I thought, yeah, let's have a go. It's on Blu-ray. It's a region-free Blu-ray, but it's only available from their website. I thought, right, okay. Oh, actually, it might be available from Amazon and places. Anyway, I bought it from the website. And I didn't know what to expect, really. They just said to me it's got a bit of a vibe of Clerks, a bit of a vibe of High Fidelity, and it's a bit crazy. I thought, well, yeah, I like a bit of that. And I put it on last night, and it is the wildest film you can ever imagine. Independent, completely independent. There's a little bit of text that says that this film was made for the price of a used car. It's remarkable. It is absolutely remarkable. Everything about this film is wonderful. The music is wonderful. The cast is brilliant. Special effects, the makeup effects are outrageous. And the theme of it, where it goes, is just unexpected. It's dark. This gets dark. But it's fantastic. I loved this. I think they both kind of sold it, or Roxy did, kind of undersold it to me. But I couldn't think more highly of this film. It is brilliant. And this is the kind of film that I love to have on the shelf here. This is what makes Snips this kind of film. Independent stuff. Films that just get lost on the great, vast streaming services. Films like this stand out. Stuff like Liam Regan's Banjo and Liam Regan's Eating Miss Campbell. Stuff like that stand out, and they define a store like this. So to have Pater Noster on Blu-ray is just a massive bonus. And it will be going on the new release section, and I urge you to rent it, because if you like, I guess you class it as a horror. But yeah, if you like depravity, this one's for you. Again, another debt of gratitude is owed to another customer. This is Mark. We're discussing well-known horror authors and their cinematic works, Clive Barker, Stephen King. And we've gone on to Ramsey Campbell. For those of you who don't know, Ramsey Campbell is a local author. And were discussing. I was saying to Mark that so many of his hardly anything of his work has been adapted into a film, or so I thought. But thankfully, Mark was on hand to correct me and said, "Well, actually, no. There's a couple of Spanish films from the guys behind the Wreck series." I thought, "Wow, really? These eluded me completely. These had passed me by." But they're in now. They're in now, and I can't wait to watch them. We have The Nameless by Jamie Balaguerro, which is great. Apparently, Mark has rented it, so hopefully that lives up to the pedigree of the guy who made it. And also Paco Plaza directed this. I forget the second name. I forget. But it's connected in some way to The Nameless. This is a Italian edition of the film, but it comes thankfully with an English audio track. But yeah, great films to have in. Eclectic mix. And again, they just add to the store. Had a new customer over from TikTok, which is still proving to be a wild place in terms of new business. Where have I put that? And he was after a film that I seem to have lost temporarily. It was Our Little Sister, the curator film. Have I put it down here? I put it down here, haven't I? No, I haven't. Anyway, didn't have it. You know, I've got a good range of creative films as well. You know, Shoplifters, Airdoll, Afterlife, Broker, I Wish, Monster, Like Father, Like Son. But this was one of them I didn't have. I thought it was in the stack. Ah, there it is. One of those crazy artificial eye upside down things. But yeah, Kurita Hirokazu. Didn't have this, so thrilled that I think Ian Nesbitt from TikTok, local guy, new customer, said, "Any chance?" I said, "Absolutely." So I picked this up from Artificial Eye in the week. Our Little Sister, which is great, means I can go on my Kurita Hirokazu section, which is growing very, very nicely indeed. So that's a very cool addition. And it happened to be on a special offer whereby if I paired it up with another film, I could get a nice discount. So I picked up Oliver Hermanus's film, Moffy, which I've not seen. South African, set in 1981. Quite a brutal film by all accounts. But it's one man struggle in a very, very homophobic environment to find himself and his true sexuality. So it sounds amazing, sounds brilliant, and that can slide quite comfortably into the LGBT section sometime this week. Another recommendation. This one came from one of the guys from last night, Tom Shannon. He was a little bit. He said you could do with more films from the guy who made Uncle Boon Me. You remember Uncle Boon Me, which took the world by storm many years ago. But I haven't had many of the filmmakers' films in since, and I should have done really. And I missed out on this one, which seems strange. Memoria. It came out a couple of years ago. It's Tilda Swinton. And it came out on a label by the name of Sovereign Films. It just eluded me, and it's a beautiful set. You get a booklet, you got a lavish Blu-ray with loads of special features, a beautiful Scanavo case, and a slipcover as well. But this is Memoria with Tilda Swinton from the director of Uncle Boon Me. Late to the party, but it's here now, so that's very cool indeed. Quick pickup, I got a copy of They, which bizarrely I've never had in the store before. It's one of those Wes Craven productions from the early noughties. One of my followers was watching this the other day. I forget who it was, but it was The Knack and How to Get It. This Richard Lester film I picked up a few days ago now because it was featured in someone's episode of Le Video Club, which is the YouTube series I've been consuming quite rabidly over the last few weeks. I forget whose episode it was. I think it was No, I couldn't say. I couldn't say. But yeah, The Knack sounds incredible. Rita Tushingham, Ray Brooks, and Michael Crawford. But yeah, glad to get that in from the BFI on both Blu-ray and DVD. A new addition to the Criterion, which I missed out on in January, I think it was, and that was The Mother and the Whore, a film by Jean Eustache. So yeah, missed out on that, so only pleased to grab that in. This was another recommendation from a customer. This was Paul Griggs and his wife, who asked for Solar Babies. Solar Babies. As you know, Paul is going through a 80s phase of sci-fi fantasy movies. Solar Babies I didn't have, and it came out in the UK as Solar Warriors. So there it is. It's in now. This one dates from 1986. Solar Warriors, aka Solar Babies. We have a tape. We have a tape. This is an old Paul Lader film. Huge fan of Paul Lader. Written about him extensively for my website, The Schlock Pit. Love this guy. Incredible career. Had a wonderful conversation with his son, Ruben. His daughter is Mimi Lader, the director of The Peacekeeper and a few Hollywood movies. But yeah, Paul Lader was an incredible person. He was at Buchenwald in Germany, freeing at the liberation of Buchenwald in Germany. His wife was a prisoner of war in the Second World War. He had an incredible life, and I've made some effort to document it on the website. And he made all these great little films that I think are wonderful, and this is one of them. This is Murder by Numbers, right, retitled here, Murder 1. Good little cast. Shari Belafonte, the daughter of Harry Belafonte, and Dick Sargent is in this. Cleveland Little is in this, and it's made with Paul Lader's group of regular crew and cast, and wonderful. Okay, so that is half of what's in the box. Are you bored yet? I wouldn't be surprised. And the second half is my latest shipment from the States, which is great to have in. This a lot came in yesterday. Led, of course, by the 4K UHD of Graveyard Shift. No sign of anything happening in this country for this movie. So I thought, well, let's pick up the UHD from America. It's a cool little Stephen King adaptation with Brad Dourif. Yeah, not bad at all, not bad at all. So I'm glad to get that in on 4K UHD. And the rest are Warner Archive. I have my last batch of Warner Archive catch-ups. We have Crime Does Not Pay, the complete shorts collection, which is 50 short films between 1935 and 1947. We have some more Forbidden Hollywood collections. We have Volume 7 here, and Volume 5. Volume 6 is on its way from another supplier. Great people in these, Jimmy Cagney, Barbara Stanwyck, John Blondell. Lovely, beautiful pre-code classics from the early 1930s. We have some rippling torsos for you in two separate Tarzan collections. We have the Gordon Scott collection of 6 movies. 6 Tarzan movies from the late 50s. And from the early 50s, we have the Lex Barker collection of Tarzan movies, 5 in that collection. Finally completed my Bowery Boys quartet of box sets. So there's now 48 Bowery Boys movies in the store, which is just nuts. But yeah, pleased to finish that collection. Finally, with the Warner Archives, we have all the latest releases, all April's releases of Into the Warner Archive collection, which are 5 Blu-rays, 5 great Blu-rays, to be honest. We have the complete series of the Wacky Races, which is 6.5 hours of Wacky Races here, which is just wonderful. Get your fill of Dick Dastardly. We have MGM's fantastic film noir Side Street with Farley Granger, directed by Anthony Mann, which is meant to be a brilliant noir. I've not seen it, but it's a great disc with a commentary on there by Richard Schickel. Some immense blaxploitation with three of the most iconic blaxploitation actors in history. We have Jim Brown, Fred Williamson, and Jim Kelly in Three the Hard Way, directed by Gordon Parks Jr., no less. Some Gary Cooper on Blu-ray. We have Springfield Rifle, which is directed by Andre de Toth. So yeah, very pleased to have that in stock. And finally, in the Warner Archive collection, Michael Keaton stars in Glenn Gordon Caron's Clean and Sober, which I don't think has been available in this country for quite some time. So I'm really pleased to have that in on Blu-ray and heading into the Warner Archive section. Finally, this week, we have one of the unpressed releases from Film Masters. They've been a bit quiet lately, but there's some bits and bobs stripping out. This is For Road Out, a Western, which features Sue Lyon from Lolita and Leslie Nielsen. So that sounds quite unique, and that's the new one from Film Masters, and that is everything. Holy cow, I'm so sorry to have kept you. But there we go. That is all the new movies heading into your local video store this week, which is quite remarkable, to be honest. Quite remarkable. Right, now, we have something to sort out, don't we? We have to pick a winner for our competition. Our competition to win a copy of Seed People. Seed People from 88 Films. So let's see how we did on that. Let's see how we did. Okie dokie. So what answers have we got? Let's have a look. Okay, so one above mine. His pick was Ghost Rider. Paul Griggs says Ghost Rock. M62 Film says A Ghost Story. Jonah Fish says Ghost and Mr. Chicken. By the way, if you didn't see last week's episode, this is making no sense to you whatsoever. What I did was, to win a copy of Seed People, I hid a film in the G's, and because they're in strict alpha order, you have to guess what film was missing. So I'm just running through people's guesses. We Can Rebuild Him blog says Ghost Rider. You can't have three guesses. Ghost Rider, Ghost Dog, and Ghost in the Machine. Well, they're all wrong. Jake says, Jake should know better. He's here every day. Jake says, Ghost Dog, Where the Samurai? No, Jake, it's in the Jim John Moose section. Adoyo says, Ghost and Mrs. Muir. Richard Otoja says, Ghost in the Shell. No, that's with the animes. Matt Blog says, Ghost Chase. Ancient Slumber says, Ghost in the Shell. And Terry Uller says, Ghost Rider. In the comic book section. So no, you're all wrong. However, we have some winners. I think we have 4 winners, maybe. John Young says, Ghost Dad. Yes. How problematic can you get? Ghost Dad is the right answer. That was the title that was missing from the still that I showed last week. Ghost Dad. So John Young is a winner. Neil Davis is a winner. Angie Grinnell is a winner. And Matt Humphries is a winner as well. It is not a Sidney Poitier film, though, Matt. We wish it was a Sidney Poitier film. Oh, no, it is a Sidney... sorry, Sidney Poitier directed it. Yes, sorry, my mistake. But I wish Sidney Poitier had taken the lead role instead of the guy that's in the lead role, the creepy guy. So yeah, you 4 won. Well done. I have to draw a winner. So I'm going to slip the tape out of Paul Lader's film. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's mix you all up. And let's pick a winner. So the winner of Seed People on Blu-ray from 88 Films, courtesy of those wonderful Leicester-based gentlemen. The winner is Neil. Well done, Neil. Well done, Neil. So, Sealed Seed People is yours. If you or Fallon are in the store anytime soon, then come grab it. It's just behind the counter. Help yourself. I enjoy it. It's a really good film. It's a really good film. So well done, Neil. Neil Davis wins the copy of Seed People. We'll have another one soon. I'm doing a commentary a week on Sunday. Plus, there's a really exciting announcement from Arrow Video on the 30th of May, which is just our peak commentary ever. It's a film that has never been out on any format beyond VHS. Arrow Video are releasing it. They're announcing on the 30th of May, and it's beyond exciting. I can't wait to see the reaction. It's one of those films that's been on bucket lists for years and years and years and years. Can't wait. So I'll be able to give away a few of those shortly, and also 88 are announcing our next commentary in the next few weeks as well. So I'll have another copies of another full moon orientated movie to give away soon. So stay tuned. So the other comments that we got in this week, let's have a look. Paul Berryman, I watched Happiness last night on 4K. I'd heard of it, but didn't know much about it. It was definitely a dark film, yet so well made, incredibly shot, with a stunning cast. It was, Paul. It absolutely was. Doomed Movieathon says, my wife stormed down to the living room during Night Train Murders. It made her very, very angry. To this day, whenever anyone asks her what the worst film I've ever made her sit through was, she will say, without hesitation, Night Train Murders. We watched it 18 years ago. Whew. Quite something. Quite something. It is a dark and upsetting film at times. 420 PNE. I just found this channel. It's bringing back some great memories. I wish my local video shop was like this. Hopefully one day it can be. Hopefully one day it can be. Andy Phantom Silver Cinema says he's been watching some good films this week. He's been watching Canopy Love, which is good. And a few other bits and bobs. So he checked out Fallen Angels, one of the gritty TV movies mentioned in last week's episode. He'd seen it back in the day. And he wants to give some props to Richard Masur, who says he's an underrated actor. He is an underrated actor. Kyle McLaughlin says, perfect viewing every Friday. Thanks as always, Dave. Thank you, Kyle, for watching. Rise of the Phoenix says, good to see Evil Bong back, taking pride of place. Oh, yes. Evil Bong will always take pride of place. Andy Martin, great episode. That Seed People slip is gorgeous. My guess is Ghost Rider. No, sorry, Andy. Ghost Rider is in the comic book section. Freddie, another first-time viewer. Thank you, Freddie. My viewing of the day was a double bill from the past. Frog Dreaming. Very nice. Bit of exploitation. And a fistful of dollars. The Arrow box set is truly great. Can't wait for the next two. And, of course, your next video. Haha. Yeah, can't wait. I think Good, Bad, and the Ugly shipped today, Wednesday the 21st, so should be getting that in store on Friday. Great stuff. Great stuff. Can't wait to have that threesome all lined up. Okay, I asked the question last week about which films you own multiple copies of. Paul Griggs says it's the Star Wars trilogy. He has the widescreen VHS, the widescreen special edition VHS, the DVD, the Blu-ray, and the 4K. 5 editions. Impressive, impressive. And to be honest, if I didn't work here, I probably wouldn't own one copy of Star Wars. What do we got? What do we got? Jennifish, no, sadly, Jennifish, I don't have a Don Knotts section, but that is something worth thinking about. Andy Grinnell says, so when you buy maybe 3 copies of a movie in varying formats on release, what do you do with the excess copies when these films have been out for a while? I normally give them away. I normally give them away because they're worthless, especially DVD. DVD, has a shelf life of a couple of months in respect to mainstream movies. So I normally give them away, to be honest. But to be honest, it's rare that I have more than 2 copies of any one film. How long are films out before you put them on standard shelving? It depends on the popularity. Sometimes they can be on the new release wall for 6 months. Sometimes they can last on you a few weeks, to be honest. It depends. It depends what it is. It always depends. There's no rule. I just tend to wing it every Thursday when I panic about how I'm going to stick this week's new releases or how I'm going to fit this week's new releases in. We Can Rebuild Him blog says, I am shocked, I tell you, that the General is in the G's and not in a John Borman section. It's true, I should really have a John Borman section, shouldn't I? It would be fair. He does deserve a section of his own. However, We Can Rebuild Him says, maybe you could combine the similarly sectionless John Milius with Borman into a directors named John who don't get their own section. This is a genius idea. Maybe throw in John Huston and John Hughes. Very good point. Very good point. I think I might do that. Director's named John. It's got legs. Paul Grigg says, I feel like I properly arrived because I made it into the on loan section. Well done. It's a deserved place. And finally for this week, Matt Goebel says, Life After movies are great. I backed her current project, Life After Goonies, a few months back. And just great communication on the crowdfunding campaign, which unfortunately is not always the case. Absolutely. I've heard of a few disastrous crowdfunding campaigns in recent years. And that, thankfully, is it for today. I bet we're over an hour, aren't we? Good Lord. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying with me. I hope it's been a painless hour for you. I hope you've found something to enjoy. And yeah, thank you. So yeah, give me some feedback below on my horror section idea. Give me some tips, what you'd like to see in there. Is there anything you'd like to see or any arrangement that you'd like to see? Give me a shout and I'll take it on board. And I love listening to people, people's ideas. Like I always say, I run this place by myself, and sometimes it's not very healthy just to put forward your own ideas and not welcome other people's thoughts and opinions and things like that. So it's something I'm always very keen to do. So yeah, don't be shy about it and come forward and give me some hints and tips and suggestions. You're more than welcome to, and they'll be greatly appreciated. But that is it for this week. Next week hopefully should be a lot quieter. I'll give you an update on what's going on at the back. And yeah, a slightly quieter week of releases. It's bank holiday, isn't it? So yeah, I will spare you some time next week. But that is it for today. I shall look forward to tomorrow to try and fitting in these films somewhere. I don't know where. It will be a job and a half. But, I could have a proper job. I could work for a living. But I don't. I just hang around here and have fun and talk to great people. And I will talk to you in 7 days' time.